Guys, what's happening? This is Mike's Total Dragon channel, and we are finally back on the air. I have been working a tremendous amount the past 2 weeks, so I have unfortunately had to put comic books on the back burner as far as talking about them and making videos or whatever. As you can see from right here, I have a tremendous amount of books that have accumulated over the past 2 weeks or what have you. So we will go ahead and jump right into it right now. I'm going to try and talk about all the stuff I've picked up over the past couple weeks and, how my thoughts are about them. The usual what we do. Just running a little bit behind this week, but we're going to make up for it. So sitting here at the top of the stack is Sisterhood number 4. This is a 5-part miniseries that is part of the Hyde Street book. For those of you who are not familiar, Hyde Street is basically a Tales from the Crypt, Tales from the Dark Side anthology horror type book that's put out by Image and the Ghost Machine imprint. This one basically involves a hazing incident at a sorority gone terribly wrong, and the spirit of that event wants revenge. So I thought it was just going to be a one-shot initially, but turned out to be a 5-part miniseries. So I really enjoyed the one shot, so picking up the rest of them wasn't any, tough choice whatsoever. Then we've got Exquisite Corpses, number 6 here. This is I believe, a 12 or 13 issue miniseries from James Tynion, one of the many books he's associated with. Essentially, as I've said before, basically you have 13 families, and they have a tournament once every handful of years to decide which family is going to be running the United States of America from behind the scenes. And that's what the premise of this is. It's that time of the year where they're having the tournament, and we're following along with all the families and their champions who are fighting and battling, and everyone who is caught in the fallout of this huge tournament. Now, I believe this has been extended into an ongoing. I think I saw something about that. I'm not terribly sure about that, but I know Tynion always has something going on, so I wouldn't be surprised if they did make this ongoing. Now, whether they should make this ongoing or not, that's a different story. I don't really see how you can, but that's never stopped anybody before. So now we've got Ultimates number 16 right here. This is my favorite Dennis Camp book. Godzilla Destroys the Marvel Universe, number 4. I really feel like this has been drug out quite a bit. I don't know if should have got any further than the one-shots they were doing, like Godzilla versus Thor, Godzilla versus X-Men, Godzilla versus FF, etc., etc. But, I believe this is a 6 or 8-part miniseries with the Marvel Universe, and it just really feels like overkill at this point. I'm not really sure. Now that I sit here and think about it, I'm not really sure if maybe this storyline is overkill as much as the exposure of Godzilla right now is overkill. There's more Godzilla out there right now than we can shake a stick at. He literally has books in DC, Marvel, and is it Boom or IDW? It's one of the two. So Godzilla is all over the place right now. We're drowning in Godzilla. We've got Spider-Man and Wolverine number 6 right here. I thought this was a mini-series, but it's an ongoing, so I've got to sit back and read all 6 issues. Incredible Hulk number 30. This is the last issue of this book before it leads into Infernal Hulk, so I wanted to check that out. I like Philip Kennedy Johnson, so I picked up this issue to see how things go, see what the lead-in is like. Superman Unlimited number 4. This is the Dan Slott book, kind of standalone-ish. Doesn't really seem to have much impact with what's going on with DC and KO and that big storyline, but I still enjoy it quite a bit. It's been a pretty solid story. It has, the way I've described it is, there is now Superman in addition to having to battle his normal villains, also there is a country who has overnight become a powerhouse because they have a tremendous amount of kryptonite. So basically, it is Superman versus a having to deal with a Wakanda-style nation, but instead of it being vibranium, it's kryptonite. So you've got some really fun stories that you can get out of that, and Dan Slott's been doing a real good job with this, I feel like, anyway. Then we've got Wonder Woman number 26 right here, and this is Tom King with the Mr. Mouse storyline. I believe that's what his name is, Mr. Mouse. And this has basically been a storyline in which Wonder Woman has become, I'm trying to figure out how I want to say this. She's basically stumbled across this town in which they are being ran by this Mr. Mouse fellow, and all thought and speech and everything is relegated to just 2 or 3 simple phrases, such as, I am Mr. Mouse, Mr. Mouse is our leader, etc., etc., that type of vibe. So it's kind of a weird storyline, but at the same time, it is a very good look into how a dictator can basically, how a dictator can basically, suppress thought and only have what the dictator wants to be spoken about and talked about and put out on the media, kind of how all that works. So I am one of the very few people, or I'm not one of the very few people, I guess I would say I'm in the minority of people who like Tom King's Wonder Woman book. So I know there was an instance coming up where Tom King and Daniel Sampry are taking time off, and a lot of people were celebrating that. Tom King was off of Wonder Woman finally, but it looks like that is just going to be for a 1 or 2 issue fill-in status. So I'm glad that Tom King is sticking around on Wonder Woman. Then we've got another issue of G.I. Joe, the Energon universe. I believe this is the introduction of the Energon universe of Night Force. So I think that's going to be really cool. We've got a Punisher Red Band book right here. This is number 2. Now Punisher right now has he has the Marvel Knights book, he has the Red Band book, and he also is having another one with him and Daredevil coming down the pipeline soon. So Punisher, we kind of have a renaissance of Punisher books right now after not really having any for quite a while. One World Under Doom number 8. I have been enjoying this book since issue number 1. However, that being said, I feel like it's been drugged on for just a little bit, but we are down to just one more issue after this, and I'm looking forward to seeing how Ryan North wraps all this up. Unbreakable X-Men. This is another Age of Revelation X-Men tie-in book. This is the Gail Simone one, which features Rogue and Gambit in the league, so in the lead of the X-Men team. So it'll be interesting to see what the Age of Revelation has brought to those characters. Captain America number 4. This is a Chip Zdarsky book. I've been enjoying this since issue 1. I'm glad that Chip Zdarsky is really doing really great stuff with this book here, and highly recommend it. We've got Herculoids number 9 right here, another Dynamite book. Big fan of it. Enjoy it every issue. Some of the stories kind of breeze by kind of fast, because you have so many characters in this book who are animals. You've got 1, 2, 3. I think you've got 4 or 5 of the Herculoids are creatures or animals that don't speak. So you have some panels that just basically show them interacting with their surroundings or having thoughts and dreams about certain situations. So it can kind of be a quick read, but still it is a very enjoyable book, especially if you remember these characters from when you were a kid. Now we have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Journeys. This is number 2. I was really somebody commented on my YouTube channel recommending this. So they did not have issue number 1, but they did have issue number 2. So I'm going to wait for number 1 to come in before I start this. But I'm a big fan of the Turtles, so I'm looking forward to reading this. Amazing Spider-Man number 14 by Joe Kelly. This is the J. Scott Campbell cover right here. I'm really digging Joe Kelly taking Spider-Man into outer space. And then we have Silverhawks number 9. I am kind of contemplating putting this book on the chopping block, but we'll see how it goes. I'm kind of wondering if they're going to wrap up the storyline in volume 1 at 10. So I want to look into more of that. I don't want to. I've made it this far. I don't want to go ahead and stop reading right now if it's only 1 or 2 more issues to go. Then we've got Escape by Rick Remender. I can't recommend this book enough to everybody. I made a standalone video on issue number 1, so it is definitely one of my favorite books of recent memory, and definitely one of the biggest surprises. I was not expecting this book to be as good as it was, so it's been a joy to read the first 2 issues. Visible Man, issue number 3. This is yet another one of the Universal Monsters minis that Tynion's got going on. The other ones I've read, I kind of had mixed reactions to it, but Invisible Man seems like it would be kind of cool, so I figured I'd pick it up, give it a shot. I have not read issues 1 and 2 yet. I wait until my mini-series are finished, and then I pick them up and binge them in one sitting. So I'm looking forward to this Invisible Man here. Terminator Metal. This is the new Declan Shalvey Terminator book after the last one wrapped up. We will see what type of spin he is putting on Terminator, what the difference is in Terminator Metal versus the previous Terminator. So I'm looking forward to that. And then we have here the new history of the DC Universe number 4. This is the last issue with Mark Waid writing it and having Barry Allen do the narration. Space Ghost number 9. This is Space Ghost number 4. This is another Dynamite book. This is the second volume of it by David Pepose. It's been a really good book. Very fun. A lot of cool space heroics. Some really killer art as well. And this is the Michael Cho cover right here. I had to pick this one up. I really dug it. I like that retro look that the cover has for it. Absolute Wonder Woman number 13. I've been reading this since the first issue. I love it. It's probably my favorite Absolute book, tied with maybe Absolute Superman, but I'm liking everything that Kelly Thompson is doing right here with this book. Then we've got Green Lantern Dark number, what's this, 7? Issue number 7 right here, yeah. I remember this character from the Tangent universe, and that's how I picked it up. I wanted to see if there was any connection between the two. So this is a mini-series, so I'm looking forward to seeing how it turns out. Blue Falcon and Dynamite by Jimmy Palmiotti. This is yet another character I remember from Saturday morning cartoons. The first issue was kind of jarring with the ending, so I'm looking forward to seeing how Jimmy has issue number 2. You know, seeing what his plans are for Blue Falcon and Dynamite after the events of issue 1. But I like Jimmy Palmiotti's writing in general. Pretty strong writer. And as long as this book doesn't get too grim and gritty, I got a feeling I'll be sticking it out. Now we've got Flash number 26. I was not a regular reader of this book right here, but I saw that Mark Waid has now come back to writing it. So I am a big fan of Wade's Flash, and that is what has got me to pick this issue up right here. We've got Event Horizon, Dark Descent. This is the second issue of the miniseries, spinning out of the events of the old school horror movie, the first Event Horizon. We've got Undead Iron Fist here. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with this. I picked up the first issue, gave it a thumb through, and I enjoyed it. So I'm kind of interested in seeing what they have planned for who is essentially a zombie, Danny Rand. And then we have Rogue Storm, another Age of Revelation book. This one is, I believe it has the same creative team as the Storm book. Yeah, it looks like the same creative team as the Storm book. So I was reading that, so I figured I would pick this up. That team has a really good handle on Storm. They really treat the character with respect, and I'm a big fan of that. Storm is one of my favorite, not only one of my favorite X-Men, but one of my favorite Marvel characters as well. Now we have Omega Kids by Tony Fleecis, and this is another book that is in the Age of Revelation, and it deals a lot with Quentin Quire, who is Kid Omega, you see right here. So I'm kind of intrigued by it. That's why I picked up this one shot. Wanted to see what they had planned for these characters. So it should be interesting. Tony Fleecis is another guy whose books I've read quite a bit of recently, and his name kind of jumps out when I see it on a property. And then we have Fantastic Four by Ryan North and Humberto Ramos. Obviously, I've spoken quite in quite great detail about why I like this book and how Ryan North has put himself on the Mount Rushmore of Fantastic Four writers already. So picking this up is a no-brainer. And then last but certainly not least, we have Ultimate Spider-Man number 22. Only 2 more issues left before they wrap this book up and the rest of the Ultimate Universe. You know, I wish I could say more about how passionate I am about this book, but I don't want to lie to y'all like that. It's had its highs and it's had, you know, lows that hit rock bottom. It's got great, I don't know, it just seems like a lot of times there's nothing going on. And it's a prime example of books now that you don't really think are cool or you don't really enjoy. You just find yourself nodding your head in agreement about something they said, you know, a good piece of dialogue here or there, as opposed to reading a book and putting down and thinking and saying, oh man, that book was great. You just can only talk about 1 or 2 panels that really stood out to you, you know, a couple scraps of dialogue here and there. And you see that in a lot of books nowadays, but I think this book here by Jonathan Hickman is probably the one that comes to mind the most. Well, not the one that comes to mind the most. There's quite a bit of other books out. There's some other books that are bigger offenders, but as far as in the Ultimate Universe and Marvel, probably this Spider-Man book right here is the one that I think is the biggest offender of, you know, that crime. So we've got 1, 2, I've got so many books to count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, I'm not going to count that one, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31 books to read that have accumulated over the course of the previous 2 weeks. So that is quite a lot. Hopefully I can get started on that right here while I'm about to kick back and watch some football. So nothing goes together like reading some comic books and watching some TV. So hopefully you guys have had a good week and y'all got to read some really cool comics. I've got my work cut out for me. Hopefully I'll be back to posting on a regular schedule now that I've finished working so much overtime. But I make no promises. I need the overtime more than I need to make videos. So until next time, you guys take care of yourself. Talk to you later, and bye-bye.